Hey guys, welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles! In the last episode, we talked to Mr. What's his name again? I already forgot, I'm such a scatterbrain. It's Mr. Gregson, who is the Chief Inspector at Scotland Yard, who is investigating this murder, and he told us that we are supposed to pay Mr. Sholmes a visit, and I can't wait. So let's just do it. Let's just pay Mr. Sholmes a visit.
Thank you very much. It's just up there overlooking the street. Good day. Thanks again. This is it. The residence of Mr. Sholmes.
Would you look at that? 19th February, 12:53 p.m. Sholmes' suit. So this is where the great detective makes his living. It feels surreal to be here somehow. Is it as described in the stories, Miss Susato? Susato-san?
Many famous cases have been solved here in this very room.
Oh, I suppose they must have been... Yes! I've never read the stories, so it's hard to get quite as excited about it as she seems to be.
The detective chases the villain relentlessly as he disappears into the fog down in an unlit London street. Oh, the thrill of it, the romanticism. Can't you feel the heart thumping in your chest? Can't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Oh, I suppose I can. Yes.
So if you don't mind, I'll just stand here and soak up the atmosphere for a while longer.
Please don't mind me.
Ha!
She's obsessed. Well, it looks like our detective friend isn't home at present. Excuse me, is anybody home? Oh, do we have a visitor? Oh.
Hello! Is it a big new case for Mr. Sholmes?
Hello? Wait, aren't you?
Oh, how rude of me! I'll go and make some tea at once.
I'm sure it's the same girl. Miss Susato, did you see the girl who was just here?
Oh yes, isn't it truly extraordinary? To think that the King of Bohemia came to this very room to ask Mr. Sholmes to take on his case.
The King of Bavaria?
King Wilhelm Gottfried Sigismund von Ormstein, of course.
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Forget the adventures of Sherlock Holmes for a moment and look over there.
The tea is brewed, and I have freshly baked cake as well. Ah, it's you.
I knew it. Susato-san recognizes her too.
Ah, there you are. And taking that with you as well. I was looking forward to the trial run of my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Oh, good day to you. Well, the inventor, I suppose, of that machine.
It's the girl who turned up at the end of Mr. McGilder's trial in the defendant's antechamber.
I've never met a lawyer from the Far East before. Poor you, having to get straight to work when you've only just arrived in London.
Oh, yes, it was challenging.
Well, try this tea. It's my special blend, you know.
Thank you. Is tea supposed to look that color?
Oh my, what a fragrant yet mellow flavor. Hooray, it's a winner! I tried blending different leaves designed to alleviate fatigue, you see. You must be exhausted after your long voyage here.
Voyage.
And you have another ticklish trial tomorrow. Oh, and you're to defend a Japanese man. I do wish you lots and lots of luck. Did Mr. Sholmes tell you about us by any chance? Oh, you know Hurley, do you?
Hurley? Mr. Sholmes to you, surely?
Mr. Sholmes was a fellow passenger on the boat that brought us to Great Britain, you see. Was he really? Well, I had no idea. I'm afraid Hurley's out on an errand again today, even though he's just returned from overseas.
Wait a minute. We met this girl for the first time ever yesterday after the trial, and only briefly at that. How on earth does she know so much about us? Did she deduce all those things, do you think?
And perhaps more to the point, why is she here in Mr. Sholmes' suit? Oh, silly me! I haven't introduced myself, have I? It's a great pleasure to meet you both. My name is Iris Wilson. I live here together with Hurley.
Iris, is it? What a lovely name.
What?
What's the matter?
No, wait, this can't be. Did you say that your name is Wilson?
What's the matter with Susato-san? Why is she so flustered all of a sudden?
Yes, that's right. And what are your names?
Oh, I'm Ryunosuke Naruhodo, a lawyer from Japan.
Oh, sorry. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, Susato Mikotoba. It's wonderful to meet you. Lovely, Susie and Bruno. Got it. Susie?
And Bruno? There's more to this girl than meets the eye. I have so many questions for her, I don't know where to start.
Yes, and so do I.
Well, interesting, but I'm sorry guys, I wanna explore Mr. Sholmes' suit first.
A mystery shoe, a curious hammer, some mysterious dancing men, a bust of Napoleon. Oh, what an entrancing collection.
This is the first time in my life that I've seen a lonely old shoe displayed as an ornament.
Oh, those are real mementos that Hurley has collected from his past cases.
Really? Even the bust?
Yes, that's right. When the mood takes him, he likes to throw it all on the floor and smash it to dust.
The poor defenseless emperor? Mr. Sholmes destroys it?
Yes, and then he buys a new one.
You make it sound like he has the temperament of an insane sculptor.
Ah, how entrancingly bohemian of him.
Yes, you could say that. You could say that. Okay, so let's have a look at the table, which it seems to be... Looks like the huge metal chest is being used as a table for tea and coffee. It seems very sturdy with an equally sturdy lock.
Mr. Naruto, you mustn't go around opening things. I always have to keep an eye on you, don't I? You're very mischievous.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Oh, that chest contains some of my most valuable things.
And that smile tells me you're not going to give us any clue about what they are. Well, let's have a look at the kettle. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we arrived in the country, in fact. Lingering beside the fire and watching the flames flicker and dance in the grate, it's so relaxing.
We can't relax, not when there are so many interesting things on the mantelpiece. Oh, it's just as it was described in the stories.
It is?
Yes, exactly, inside that Persian slipper, for example. My chocolates for 11s. And transfixed by the large jackknife. It's my shopping list for the market. Oh, it's not quite how I remember it being described in the adventures of Mr Sholmes.
Poor Sato-san. She looks crushed. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, so that is the fireplace. Let's have a look at the globe. There's all sorts on these shelves. Chemistry apparatus, books, papers, and lots of things I've never seen before. It's all heaped up so high, I can't help feeling that the whole lot is going to topple at any moment.
I keep telling Hurley not to cram so much on those shelves.
Good advice.
He wanted to look something up in one of those books a while ago. But it was so tightly wedged in he couldn't get it out, so he went and bought a new copy instead.
That seems like Mr. Sholmes. That indeed seems like what Herlock would do. Alright, so what do we have here? Oh, this seems like her place. Let's have a look here. That's a charming little white shelf and full of charming little bottles too.
Oh yes, but don't touch any of those. They might explode.
Explode?
Are they toxic, exotic chemicals? Do you use them for exciting experiments? Yes, yes indeed. And as Hurley always says, chemistry is an explosive science.
Sorry?
I agree. A single discovery can trigger an explosion of innovation all around the world.
Or perhaps he just meant it literally. Either way, mental note, do not touch any bottles that belongs to Iris. Let's have a look at this service here. What a beautiful English tea set, and so neatly arranged.
It's a favorite pastime of mine, a cup of herbal tea in the afternoon. Tea made of herbs? That's right, I grow all sorts of herbs in the garden so I can experiment with different blends. One moment, don't go away, I'll brew a bit of the special blend I came up with earlier today.
She looks lighted. I only hope it's safe to drink. So... it's just a typewriter then? What on earth is that big black lump over there?
Oh, the fascinating thing is called a typewriter. It's a machine that allows you to write on paper without needing a pen. And wizardly quickly too.
Oh, that sounds like it could be very useful for someone like me with terrible handwriting. Alright, so we checked out everything here, it seems. Yes, we did. Oh. Okay, so you can't find anything out of place, huh? So, we checked out everything here. It seems, yes. So this is Herlock's part of the room. Let's check this out. Ah, I've seen pictures of Western musical instruments like this. It's called a violin, isn't it?
Of course it is. Mr. Sholmes is renowned for his violin playing.
Oh, really?
Absolutely. It's often explained in the stories. It's inspirational, Mr. Naruto. Inspirational. I immediately started playing the koto, which was the closest Japanese stringed instrument I could find.
What a shame you couldn't bring it with you to London.
Oh, yes, well, Papa was beaming me when I asked him if I would buy me one. But after a while, he asked if I would only practice when he was out of the house. So, now it's merely an ornament in my room.
That must have been an awkward conversation. Oh, I got an achievement. Second-rate strings. I got an achievement for that. I don't know if you can see, guys, but there was an achievement for that. So, cool. Must be an awkward conversation. Alright, so what else is here? So, what is this? What on earth is this huge over-the-top machine?
That's the great analytoscope. It can analyze anything really, anything at all. That's absolutely incredible. It's one of Halley's inventions. It took him a whole year. He said it was to help him with his investigations. What sort of things has he analyzed with it? Do you know? Well, actually, he hasn't used it for anything yet. Oh.
Why not?
Apparently, on the evening he finally completed it, it suddenly occurred to him, I don't actually have anything I need to analyze. Oh dear. How about you, Runo? Do you have anything you'd like to analyze?
The only thing that springs to mind is this machine itself. Maybe we can analyze things later though. So we checked out everything, it seems. So that means we can finally... I'm just gonna present the map first. Iris, could I show you this?
Oh, how exciting! What is it? Tell me all about it.
Oh, actually I was hoping you might be able to tell me something about it if anything comes to mind.
Why would it?
Well, no, I suppose it wouldn't.
Tell me, I want to hear everything.
This hasn't gone according to plan. Alright, then I'll show her the armband too. Iris, could you show... Yeah, okay, so... Okay, we're gonna skip that because it's the same dialogue. So let's finally start conversing. Let's talk about Iris with Iris. It was you that we ran into yesterday, wasn't it, at the Old Bailey?
Yes, that's right. You were ever so helpful. Thank you so very much. Oh no, not at all. I'm so sorry you couldn't have been more welcoming.
Though at the time, we did have a rather large gun pointed at us.
Like this? Oh, thinking back now, you left with Miss Lestrade in tow, didn't you?
Oh yes, that awkward witness, Gina Lestrade.
Oh, Ginny? Yes, she's a professional pickpocket.
So we found out.
It was very naughty of her to pinch my invention like that.
Are you referring to that trial-disrupting gun-like contraption?
Exactly, so I followed her, you see, to get it back. Perhaps I should think about fitting a self-destruct mechanism in my inventions.
This girl is dangerous.
Anyway, I brought Ginny back here after that, so she could apologize to my trusty technician.
Sorry, your technician?
Hurley, of course, silly. Hurley? Yes, Sherlock Sholmes. We live here together.
I had no idea the great detective had such an interesting young daughter.
Daughter? Not likely.
What?
I wouldn't call him Hurley if he was my father, would I?
Well,
then, what is your relationship with Mr. Sholmes? Well, I expect you found out that lodgings of any kind in London are very expensive. So the solution is to share the cost with a partner, a roommate.
Your roommates?
I hope you don't mind me asking, Iris, but how old are you? 10 at last this year.
Well, what of your mother and father?
Oh no, they're not around.
Oh, I see. I wonder what the story is there. Alright, so let's talk about her again, in case of Wilson.
Oh yes, there's something I must ask you. Of course, go ahead, Susie. I'm a very great fan of the adventures of Sherlock Holmes and... Oh, you have a copy of Rand's magazine! Yes, I read every issue. It's delivered all the way to Japan on a ship. Oh, this is so exciting! My stories are being read on the other side of the world!
My stories?
That's right. Hurley's always solving such amazing cases, you see, and he tells me all about them. They really are quite fascinating. It would be such a shame if I was the only one who ever heard them, don't you think? Goodness. Last night, he was telling me all about the new case he just solved on a steamship traveling from faraway land. So I was just in the middle of typing out the manuscript for the next issue before you came. So you are the author? Yes, I'll let you in on a secret if you like. I'm going to call this latest adventure The Speckled Band.
That was exactly the name of the episode. The Speckled Band? That's certainly very familiar.
Of course, I always change one or two details in the stories, here and there. This time, I had the idea of making a venomous snake be the cause of all the trouble.
Oh, that was Mr. Sholmes' first thought as well, actually.
Yes, and of course I know that a snake might not be a credible fit for the facts of the case exactly, but it's a story. Some poetic license is justified to make it more thrilling, I think, don't you? So, do you mean to say, are the stories about Mr. Sholmes that are published in Rand's magazine? Or written by me? Yes! On my wonderful and very modern typewriter. But all the stories I've ever read are written by a doctor of medicine, Dr. John H. Wilson.
So Sato-san's getting more and more worked up.
Yes, that's me. I mean, my name really is Wilson. But what about the doctor of medicine part? That's all true too. I'm a doctor of medicine.
No. At 10 years old?
At 10 years old?
Well, that's quite incredible.
But Dr. Wilson is an English gentleman. Ah, yes. I did alter the setting slightly for the stories to be more compelling. Oh. Well, it sounds a little strange, doesn't it? A great detective with a 10-year-old girl in tow. I suppose it does, yes.
Poor Sato-san. She looks like her whole world has just fallen apart. Well... Okay, so let's go to her deductions. About before...
Yes. What's on your mind, Runo? Don't tell me. Do tell me.
How did you know that I was a lawyer and we just arrived in London, I mean?
Yes. Oh, and that we have a difficult trial tomorrow. How did you know all of that? Oh, that's what you mean. Please tell us how you did it. Explain every detail. Of course, I'd be delighted, although there's really no mystery. Now, let's begin. Iris Wilson is proud to present a Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. First of all, I knew already that you were a lawyer, Runo. Okay, this seems to be a dance deduction with her. I'm so excited, guys! After all, I met you yesterday at the Old Bailey in the defendant's antechamber.
But you also said that we'd only just arrived in London. How did you know that?
I observed the passport and travel ticket protruding from your breast pocket.
Oh,
so I was reasonably confident that you must have only just arrived in the country. And on top of that, you accepted a case against that particular prosecutor, telling me you were unaware of London's court affairs.
the Reap of the Bailey? I walked right into that one, didn't I?
Then I noticed a red ink stamp on the back of Susie's hand. You were given that when you visited the local prison to meet with a suspect, weren't you? Earlier today. Oh! They used those stamps to keep a close eye on comings and goings, you see. I didn't realize. And a red stamp is only used for people visiting foreign inmates. So, that told me that even though you had only yesterday concluded the trial of Magnus McGildy, the two of you had already had cause to visit a foreign inmate in a local prison. However, neither of you was wearing a particularly sad expression on your face. so I concluded that the prisoner was unlikely to be a friend or a relative. That led me to believe that you must have accepted a new case.
I see. She's good! She's really good!
But how could you have known that the trial is tomorrow? Well, having barely been home for a few hours yesterday, Hurley solved yet another case. It obviously amused him. He told me that he'd caught a Japanese man who was bawling and trembling.
A Japanese man? Well, clearly that must have been Mr. Natsume.
Mr. Natsume.
Oh, sorry.
Now, Runo has that fancy Japanese sword. And I think your outfit is called a kimono, isn't it, Susie? Well, anyway, it was clear to me that you both came from Japan yourselves. So I put two and two together and decided you must be defending the Japanese man Hurley caught. And there was only one conclusion those facts could lead me to. You both came here to ask Hurley about the case.
Okay, she was so on point. There is not going to be a dance of deduction, unfortunately, but it was awesome the way she did it.
There's a note on the mantelpiece that says the man's trial will be tomorrow. Hurley's always stabbing his notes with a knife, you know. He's silly. And that's all there was to it, really. Thank you for listening. I'm Iris Wilson, and that was one of my great deductions.
She's way better than Herlock. Oh, that's great.
Well, was it a winner? Were my deductions correct?
They were spot on.
That was amazing, Iris. Truly a great deduction.
You even managed the certain something of Mr. Sholmes' delivery.
Oh well, I was just copying Hurley's style for that. This is really very good news. You could tell us all about the case involving the Japanese man. You will, won't you, Iris? Please.
Well, the case of the Japanese man. So yesterday, Mr. Sholmes apprehended a Japanese man, you were saying?
Yes. Hurley had just arrived back in London after his sea voyage. But the police were waiting for him at the railway station to take him directly to the crime scene.
Ah, the great detective is a popular man, it seems.
Apparently, a woman was stabbed on a quiet street somewhere in town. There were witnesses who had seen a short, shifty-looking, stooped man running away from the scene. A short, shifty-looking, stooped man? Mr. Natsume, beyond any doubt.
Soseki-san said that he didn't see anybody else on the street at all. But it seems there were witnesses after all.
Hurley used his great deductive powers to determine the man's address. It was a lodging room, very nearby. He went directly there with the police, and what did they find? A short, shifty-looking, stooped man shivering in fear.
Mr. Sholmes' great deduction certainly hit the mark that time.
Of course it did. He's a great detective.
Still, that means the incident occurred only 2 days ago. Surely tomorrow is too soon for the trial, isn't it?
Definitely. We have no time to investigate properly. Hurley says that London is rife with crime.
Oh.
Scotland Yard is doing its best, but they can't stay on top of it apparently. Oh dear, I hadn't realized the situation was so dire. That's why they can't afford to spend too much time investigating cases and trying the criminals in court. Staff and money are both short. Crimes are usually pinned on the first suspicious person. That's terrible.
Sorry, guys.
I suppose it's the harsh reality of the workings of the world's greatest justice system.
I suppose it is. But in that case, I don't hold much hope for Soseki-san. Thank you for answering so many of our questions, Iris. This has been very informative.
Oh, you're most welcome. I've had so much fun.
Do you happen to know where Mr. Sholmes is at the moment? as you guessed, we'd like to ask him some questions about this case as well.
Oh well. I expect Hurley's still investigating the scene.
Of the case involving Mr. Natsume, you mean?
Yes, Mr. Nuts... Oh, May? Hurley said he was going to the man's lodgings. If you leave now, you'll probably catch him there. Iris, do you know where the lodgings are? Well, I imagine the police are still investigating the scene of the crime themselves, aren't they? Did you happen to come across a detective by the name of Gregson when you were there?
Yes, we know Inspector Gregson.
Ah, goody! In that case, give Gregson this from me, would you? If you do that, I'm sure he'll tell you what you want to know.
What is this?
A 5-shilling piece and a postcard, it seems.
Iris's postcard has been entered into the court record. Iris's postcard. A card for Inspector Gregson with a message on the back from Iris.
It reads, "Tell the gentleman in black whatever he wants to know. I trust there won't be a problem." Gosh, this will make the inspector help us, will it?
Well, thank you, Iris. We'll give it a try.
Good luck then. I'm going to return to writing my manuscript, The Speckled Band. And I'll be making more special blends of teas, so come back again soon. We'd be delighted. Thank you so much, Iris. Well, Mr. Naruto, it's back to the scene of the crime.
So, somewhat dubious that they would exert any influence over the men of Scotland Yard at all. We headed back to the scene with Iris's curious note and one of the world's heaviest silver coins in hand. Alright, so this is a great opportunity to end this episode, guys. Thanks so much for watching. On the next episode, we are going to ask Mr. Gregson what he has to say for us after receiving this letter. So, thanks so much for watching and see you in the next episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles!